how you can still buy property in a seller's market because, face it, it's a jungle out there. If you don't know, you'll find out. It might have cooled a little bit, but there's still a lot of competition. But it's not such a scary place that you can't overcome. And I'm going to show you how to turn this seller's market into your own private buyer's market. You ready? Let's go. All right, so by the time we're done here, you'll know everything that you need to know to turn an aggressive seller's market into your own little private buyer's market. You know, as my cousin shopped for homes during the pandemic, he realized he had stepped into a frenzy of bidding wars and soaring property prices. So before he landed his home in Florida, he made generous offers on several properties, only to lose out to more aggressive bidders, multiple times. He persevered though, eventually locking in a deal by offering $22,000 over the seller's asking price. Now, this experience was very common during the pandemic, and it's only decelerating just a little bit post-pandemic. You know, too many buyers are chasing too little inventory. For would-be buyers, scoring a home in this market isn't just a matter of paying a bit more. The shortage of supply has added a new degree of difficulty and drama. I mean, I got to experience this particular drama firsthand when I purchased my very first home a few months ago. And I'll tell you in a minute how I found my home in less than a week, so you can do what I did in your market. But for the most part, to navigate a market this tricky, expert guidance from someone who's willing to put in a little bit of work is more important than ever. You want to partner with someone who has seen it all before, who knows how to handle challenging circumstances, can think a bit outside of the box, and who will fight for your interests. So hiring an experienced buyer's agent, one who can be nimble and quick on their feet, that can be a huge asset. You know, I remember when I first sat down with my agent, and she gave me this giant list of to-dos to prepare for this real estate jungle. And I'll run down that list for you right now, but before I do, it's important first to determine that you are indeed in a seller's market. So although this frenzied atmosphere is national, real estate is still local, and buying a home in your area may not require such drastic measures. So ask your agent to help you calculate the absorption rate, of which tells you how many months it would take to sell all the listed homes for sale in a given area if no new homes came onto the market. If that number is less than 6 months, or even less than 4 really, you're in a seller's market. And the lower the number, the more power that lies with the seller. As of the recording of this video, the national absorption rate of inventory is 2.2 months. That's a super strong seller's market. But again, real estate is local, so take a moment to do the math with your agent to know what you are dealing with. All right, the 6 steps of preparation my agent shared with me. First one was move fast. Inventory shortages mean homes are selling quickly. So be ready to jump at any moment to tour properties the moment that they hit the market and prepare to sign an offer on the spot. You know, I was an agent for 4 years before I was a real estate investor, and I would tell my clients the same thing. Speed is essential in an ultra-competitive market. 2, go through full mortgage underwriting before you start shopping. And this contributes to your ability to move fast. In more sedate times, a pre-qualification letter from a lender would satisfy most sellers. These days, however, you need at least a pre-approval letter. And even then, it's not a guarantee of getting your offer accepted. Sellers reviewing multiple offers typically will look for the highest price. But what I've found more times than not, the sure thing frequently trumps the highest price. So it's a good idea to go well beyond a pre-approval letter and go through full underwriting so that all that's left is a satisfactory appraisal. Doing this up front will put you in a much better position to compete with the all-cash buyers. Third thing, look for homes under your budget so you can bid up. The fact is, you're likely going to have to pay more than the asking. And depending on the competition from other buyers, it could be a significant amount more. And this can be tough, I understand. You know, few people are satisfied buying a house that they can afford. I mean, we're dreamers. We want something nicer than what we can afford. And that's going to be really tough to pull off in a seller's market. Number 4, make your best offer first. You know, in normal markets, a home's asking price acts as a ceiling. It's a number that reflects sellers' aspirations, but not necessarily the reality of the market. In a strong seller's market, like the one that we're in, however, the asking price is often the floor, meaning that's where the bidding begins. You've got to put your best foot forward immediately, especially if you really like the house. You got to go in at or above market. If you have the ability to offer cash, do it. And it might not feel right, but other buyers are doing it. And if you want to compete, you've got to play the game. Further, each time a house is sold, a new comparable sale is set. So it's likely you'll have to offer even more for the next house should you lose this one. Now, number 5, might sound a little bit contradictory, but don't overpay. And this is a fine line to walk. It's easy to get caught up in the competition of trying to win a home, especially if you've lost a few already. Thus my previous suggestion, put your best offer up front. Understand that paying more than what the seller is asking is not necessarily overpaying. A house is worth what the market is willing to pay for it. And if others are willing to pay more, then that's what the house is worth. But if you overdo it, you run the risk of the house not appraising. For buyers who need financing, the home appraisal can act as a guardrail against paying too much. If the appraisal comes up short and you still want the home, you'll have to add more cash to the deal to make up that difference. If the seller asks you to remove your appraisal contingency, that's a sign that even the seller knows you're probably overpaying. Now, number 6, make an emotional connection with the seller. Now, this isn't always possible, but it's worth a shot. I understand the psychology of this, and I would suggest the same thing to buyers when I was an agent. But when competing with 10, 20, 30 or more other offers, I don't see this cutting through the dollar signs of those other offers. The strategy here, though, is by establishing a connection with the seller, your offer might stand out from other similar offers. Traditionally, buyers agents have tried to make their clients stand out with love letters, we call them, family photos, or even videos, various personal appeals from the buyer to the seller. Now, most agents, they've stopped playing this game due to potential fair housing implications if a buyer reveals personal information in the letter that influences the seller to accept or reject the offer. But those were all of my agent's suggestions. And although I did have my own ideas, I decided to follow her lead for the most part. And if you want to know how it turned out and which suggestions of hers that I tweaked to contract a home in less than a week, let me know by hitting the like button. And if you take your real estate investing seriously, make sure that you subscribe to the channel too, because that's what we talk about here each and every week, creating passive income from real estate so you can retire early and enjoy the good life. Although we are talking about buying a home in a seller's retail environment today, we switch it up every once in a while. Subscribe to the channel, you won't be disappointed. So Mercedes, my wife, and I did everything that the agent advised us to do before we started looking at properties. We started viewing homes on a Saturday, and sure enough, we submitted an offer on our first home that night. And we were moving fast like we were told to. We put our best offer forward right up front, just like she advised. And before the sun could come up Sunday, we got word that the seller accepted another offer. So we got back into the agent's car on Sunday, found another home, and submitted another offer before noon. And once again, by nightfall, the seller had accepted another offer. And Mercedes, she was pretty disappointed. She really liked those two houses, especially the second one. After I thought about it though, although I buy houses all the time, I do indeed lose all the time. I just don't feel it because I write a bunch of offers daily and I'm emotionally unattached. And I brought that up to Mercedes and suggested that we start tomorrow shopping for our home in the same way that we buy investment properties. Let's just write a bunch of offers in one day. So that Sunday night, we sat in front of the computer, we pulled up Zillow, and we started looking at what was available. We marked each house that we found acceptable until we had a list of 10. Then Monday morning, we gave that list to our agent and told her to offer full asking price to all 10 of those properties, sight unseen. And within 24 hours, we received 4 counter offers. Mercedes and I, we countered back, and 2 of those counters that we sent over to the seller, 2 of those were accepted. And it was then when we went to view those 2 properties. So by Thursday, we made our decision. Per our inspection contingency, we canceled the contract on the property we didn't want, and we proceeded to close on the one that we did want. So the agent's recommended suggestions up front to compete in a seller's market, they were fine, but the seller still had all the power. Even taking all of those precautions, as a buyer, you're still at a pretty large disadvantage. They might help, but it's not a guaranteed win, that's for sure. So the market favors sellers at the moment, but it doesn't mean you have to play by the seller's rules. You can make up your own rules and play your own game. We might not have landed our dream home, but we found a very nice one quickly, and we didn't overpay for it either. If you're in the market for a home, take from here what works for you and apply it in your process. If you'd like to learn how we buy 10 to 15 properties per month using very little of our own money, head over to reiace.com. Answer a few questions, and then just pick a time to hop on the phone to brainstorm some ideas on what that might look like working together towards your financial goals. reiace.com. I'll put that link down below in the description for you too. That's it for now. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Take care.